Monday night edition of Press Box Live. A little bit of a new format on the Monday night shows. I'll explain that in just a second. But first, the folks that bring you this are always the Costas Inn and our new sponsor, AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning. Expert and award-winning AJ Michaels Heating, AC, Plumbing, and Home Performance will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. AC season is coming up fast, and we know it comes very fast in the Northeast. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. I'm Stan the Fan of PressBox, PressBoxOnline.com, executive editor of PressBox, managing editor.
There you go.
I gave you too much of a raise and promotion, and I know the raise wasn't coming. But anyway, managing editor of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. Luke Jackson joins us, and the us is Ross Grimsley and Stan the Fan. Guys, I thought we'd try this for a while and see how it fits. My power rankings came out. Either of you look at them, and what'd you think?
Saw them. Really surprised about the Cardinals, but I kind of felt, we talked about it earlier. But the Cardinals, with the organization they have, they seem to be in a little bit of disarray, especially with what's going on with the catching situation over there now as well.
We're gonna talk some catching in a minute because Luke brought that topic to our attention, and we both agree with him. It's fascinating. But the Cardinals were one of my surprise top picks early in the season. First couple of weeks, I had them in the 5-6 range. They have steadily moved down, and Luke, CBS has them on the bottom 30th. Right. They have them ahead of Kansas City, who's got 9 wins, and I think Oakland's got 8 wins. You got them in front of both of them.
Well, I think they're better than Oakland for what that's worth. But anyway,
I do too. I think they're better than Oakland or Kansas City.
Yeah,
but not much else.
The big story that came out of the Cardinals this weekend was that they're going to shift, at least for the time being, Wilson Contreras in year 1 of a huge 5-year deal away from catcher and to DH duty. And
Luke, it's really fascinating. The manager was asked, I think it was yesterday or Saturday, Oliver Marmol was asked, what does Wilson Contreras have to do to become a good right fielder? And he said, that shouldn't be the question. The question should be, what's he need to do to become a good catcher? So he opened up Pandora's box. Then they went to John Mozeliak, the same writer, I think. And John Mozeliak basically made it seem like, without saying the words, he may have said, we fumbled the shit out of this move because it doesn't sound like they talked at all to Contreras about what his philosophies were to call a game or anything. And they say the pitching staff is kind of in disarray right now. So that leads us to that topic, Ross, of how important a Molina in St. Louis was, a Buster Posey in San Francisco was, and the reverse of that is our guy, Adley Rutschman, who has raised the pitching level of the Orioles.
You know what's crazy is I think they asked the manager of the Cardinals what he had to do to be a good catcher, and he goes, I don't know. That's a problem right there. I don't know. And they said they made the decision over a period of time, watching him the first part of the season with their eyes, seeing this.
Didn't they watch him with their eyes when he was a Chicago Cub catcher?
Yeah. Well, no, really. And it sounded like he didn't fit into what they want him to do. So I'm going, there's some confusion there, but thus the ranking down at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I thought it was a little bit of a shame that they threw him under the bus. Because it's not his fault that the staff is in disarray. Perhaps he obviously they think that he contributed to it in some way, but I mean, the pitching staff has really struggled. And like Stan said, they saw this guy up close with the Cubs for 6-7 years. So they should have known what they were buying into. This is a bad look. There's absolutely
terrible.
However, I will say this, when you're moving on from a Molina type,
Yeah.
that type of catcher really, I mean, the Cardinals really was wrapped up in how he prepared and his pitcher's relationship with him, all that stuff. He was a huge part of the culture there. And you saw last year with Posey in San Francisco, he was a big part of the culture. And then last year they really struggled without him. So I think a two-way catcher, catcher who can contribute in every way, both offensively, defensively, and culture-wise. When you lose that guy, it can be a little bit of it can take a little while to
tremendous problem. I mean,
Ross,
you look at all the teams in the past that have had a lot of success. They've always had, the Reds with bench, the Yankees with the catchers they've had in the past.
Dempsey with the Orioles, solid defensive catcher.
Yeah. I mean, and handles the staff, which you got to do. And they're leaders basically on the field. It's so important to have it makes it so easy.
Ross, let me ask you a question, and Luke, I want your answer too. This is the second time this season that Oliver Marmol, not exactly like a 14-year major league manager or something like that, it's his second year as a major league manager, has gone public with something that I think really, as much as we like it in the media to get the dirt on things, that thing with Tyler O'Neill about 3.5 weeks ago, that was unnecessary to call him out on that. He should have talked to him privately about it, whether he was hustling or not.
Yeah, well, being a new manager and being around the media as much as media there is, he's going to have to learn how to smooth his way through it, and not come out and just say some of the things he said in the past. I mean,
Buck Showalter would have never in a million years thrown one of his players publicly under the bus.
Well, Weaver either. I mean, the guys didn't do that, and back then, because they knew that they depended on him.
He would chew the hell out of you privately.
Oh God, yes, that was the shit. You expected that, or in front of everybody. It was, but that was a part of it. But yeah, you just kind of shake your head. The manager, I don't forget his name, but the Cardinals, but
Oliver Marmol.
Marmol. Okay, he did say that he wanted to make it crystal clear that the blame was not on Contreras for the way the team is playing.
Right.
So at least he said that. So he's got that going for him.
What do you think, Luke, about the way he publicly went after O'Neill that way about 3 weeks ago?
And usually, at times, using the media in that way can be like a last resort, meaning that the manager feels like he and the coaching staff have tried everything to get through to O'Neill in private, and then the media, the post-game press conference or whatever is like a last resort. But even so, it's not a great look for Marmol. It's not a great look for O'Neill, and it's a sign of something else that's gone awry in the organization. And you've seen that again with the Contreras deal, where they signed him to this huge multi-year deal, and then they're immediately moving him off a catcher. So it's a sign that something is amiss there. Yeah. And I'm not sure what that is. I'm not close enough to know what that is, but I'm sure that's topic number one in St. Louis right now. There's no doubt about it.
Circling back to the power rankings for a second, did you guys have pretty much the same five that I had at the top of the heap? Obviously, Tampa 1, Atlanta 2, based on a 6-2 week against some good competition. And then I had the Toronto 3. And then I had the Orioles moving up a place 4, because the teams that could have moved past the Orioles, who were 5, they all kind of backpedaled to my way of thinking. And I moved the Dodgers all the way up to 5 and San Diego at 6. You have any problems with any of those?
I don't. I mean, that sounds, and as the Orioles go along with the schedule they have, those we'll get a better idea of what's going on. But I agree with them. I'm not a big San Diego fan.
Yeah,
I mean, they got a good team, but they don't win it. They don't get to where they should be. They should be in a series, and they don't make it.
So and
Luke.
the one team that really sticks out to me as I read your power rankings again, the Texas Rangers. We were talking about the struggles that Ali Marmol had in St. Louis. I think you're seeing the impact of a manager, a veteran manager who knows what he's doing, can make in Texas. And we all three of us thought that Texas would take a couple big steps forward this year. In no small part because Bruce Bochy is the manager there now, and they've got a really exciting team.
Right.
Score a
They
lot.
are, they're one of only 3 teams in Major League Baseball to score over 200 runs. The others being Tampa, 228, and then Boston is like 207, and Texas, I think, is 205.
Yeah.
If they could really truly count on DeGrom, and I'll be even modest, if they knew he was going to give them 20 starts of high quality, they'd be a very dangerous team right now.
Yeah,
It
and
wouldn't be surprising them to go out and get somebody either.
yeah, and they really haven't gotten much from Corey Seager this year either.
No,
There's still
virtually nothing. Yeah.
So, but Marcus Simeon's having a really nice year. He had a really good second half last year, not a good first half, and it looks like he's back to being the 2021 Marcus Simeon, going to put together a really good full season for the Rangers this year.
Hey, let me get in and give a word about our sponsors at the Costas Inn. Located at 4100 North Point Boulevard, Ross and Luke and I know the place well. They've been a sponsor and friend of mine for close to 30 years. They've been open at the same location for over 50 years. Now, this is a great time of year where the weather's nice today. You're starting to think and get that appetite in your mouth for crabs. You can't just walk in off the street and expect to get crabs. You got to call ahead, 410-477-1975. That's the number. Call and reserve your crabs, your steamed crabs. They got them in all makes and sizes, or not makes and sizes, all different sizes. They're all delicious. They're just how much meat you want to pay for. The Costas Inn's got them all. But plan ahead, make it like a little bit of a mini vacation, your trip to the Costas Inn, 410-477-1975. It's just the start of crab season, and you have to have a plan of attack before you go out to get crabs. All right, back with the guys. Luke, we were talking, Ross and I were chatting a little bit today about the Orioles. One of the things that they are majorly lacking is a number one starter. We've watched 34, 35 games now.
Right.
What's your thought on that? How close are they to having somebody that really is the leader of the staff, not just the titular leader of the staff?
Right. Yeah, I mean, they haven't had a starting pitcher perform like an ace since at least Eric Bedard in 2007 when he had that huge year. I mean,
I thought Tillman for a number of those years was pretty darn good under Showalter.
I thought he was more of a 2 or a 3 during those times, but I'll give you that. And
okay,
I think everyone can agree that the last time they had true ace was Mike Messina. That was a long time ago, Stan.
That's a long time ago.
Ago.
I was a young man.
This is nothing new.
I was a young man back then.
So was Ross.
We had hair too.
Yeah.
Ross could still throw like 90 back then, right? No?
Oh yeah.
Not quite. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this has been an issue. Now, I don't see anybody on the staff this year being that number one starter. So if they want a number one starter this year, they're probably going to have to go out and get somebody. Now, the name that you've heard sometimes is Dylan Cease. It's going to take a lot to get Dylan Cease. You know who the White Sox are going to ask for? They're going to ask for Jackson Holliday. That's what they're going to want for 2.5 years of Dylan Cease. Another name that you're going to hear, Eduardo Rodriguez with the Tigers. He's got an opt-out at the end of the year. If he continues pitching this way, there's no question he's going to opt out. How much do you want to give up for a kid?
How do you weigh that? And Ross, I want your opinion too. There's no question right now, Rodriguez is the guy, in my opinion, perfectly kind of priced, except for that opt-out. So
right.
How did the two teams crack that nut open to get a deal done? Because the Orioles, who might be willing to give 2 really good prospects for Rodriguez, but they're not giving 2 really good prospects for Rodriguez for 2 months or 3 months of him. They want to know that they've got him through the life of that contract. I think they could buy their way through the opt-out, like maybe
Right.
throw $10 million total into the deal, along with a couple prospects, and
Right.
still have a very fairly priced pitcher. Ross?
Right.
I don't think they're at that junction yet of doing that kind of stuff. I think they're gonna wait to see what Grayson Rodriguez does. He's gonna get his feet wet. I think he's gonna be here, hopefully the whole year.
Yep.
But,
Come hell or high water.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna learn his way. He's gonna learn his way and take his lumps. But I don't think the Orioles are ready to invest money in pitching, free agent or trade unless they. I don't even think that they'll trade for a high price guy. I don't think they're there yet. I think that's a year or two away, depending on what happens this year. But they have to get starting pitching because they're in the same situation they were in last year. The year before, they're averaging 5.1 innings from starters now. Last year was 5, and the year before it was 4.5 innings. And
what does that number? What does that number need to be at, Ross? Is it 6?
Well, you hope. I mean, they got Irwin from Oakland, and he was pumping out 6+ innings to start.
Right.
So you got to with a 5-man rotation, you need to get a couple guys that can do that and save your bullpen. Because we saw what happened last year with it, and they're on that same path now. Because I mean, there's 40 innings that separates the starters from the relievers, and that's not gonna
work.
Good. Especially in this day and age where the relievers are full bore, they're all out on every pitch. They need extra time in between. Going back-to-back days sometimes could be tough, but the bullpen has to be able. Somebody's going to have to step up and take the reins when the Batistas and the other guys, Canoes, when they're wore out and can't go any, they need a break. So some of these guys are going to have to step up and do that. And with Tate and Givens possibly coming back, what are the moves that they're going to do to get those guys? And you would have to think that it would be some more right-handers that would leave because they have no left-handed starters. They got 3 left-handers in the bullpen. I think you're going to need those guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Ross, Luke and I were talking the other night. We talk back and forth. We're texting all the time during the games. And we talked about this, and Luke, as he always does, and that's why he's on the show, he made a really good point that the Elias Hyde regime hasn't been as good as the Duquette Showalter regime at being ready for the emergency with the pitcher. In other words, do they need to get that shuttle going a little bit more with Norfolk where they get a fresh arm in more often to be ready in case the starter blows a flat?
It depends on if they have people there that they think are ready to come up and fill in. Now, you may see that here when they make the moves with
Tate and Givens.
But you need, in this day and age, you got to have a AAA team that has, 5, 6 pitchers that can, come up and spell these guys at times. And that's in all of baseball now with that. So I think that's real important. The thing is, who's there that is ready to step up and come here and do that?
Yeah. They've got. Again, you'd like to think the guy they would bring up wouldn't be a 1-inning guy. So Bruce Zimmerman is one of them that could probably come up and give you 2-3 innings on a given night so you don't have to waste other pitchers.
Yeah.
They also have Darwinzon Hernandez, Joey Crable's down there, Nick Vespe's down there. I think they got the arms. I think it's not something that Mike Elias has identified as something that's that important.
Well,
Luke, you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I might be misremembering at this point because it's been a while. It's been 4 or 5 years since those two were in charge, but I definitely remember Buck and Dan being a lot more aggressive about getting long men up from Norfolk who can cover multiple innings in case something happens to the starter early in the game, whether he gets hit in the shin by a line drive, whatever, or he can't make it out of the second inning due to ineffectiveness or what have you. I seem to recall them being a lot more aggressive in that regard, but that's just, but and that's just like a little hang up that I have. It might not be a hang up that anybody else has. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it was a good observation. I really do. I remember it exactly like you do. And I know that Dan, and I'm not saying that Mike and Brandon don't talk about it, but I remember they almost daily were kind of calculating and like who are we short here if this happens. And I don't know that Mike has done that as a regular part of his GMing responsibility.
Well, they're trying to you don't want to lose Grayson. You want him to pitch here, and you need the left-handers because you have no left-handed starters. So it's a matter of what you have there that they think is ready to step up here and step at the major league level. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But as far as that they're playing well, they got a good team, and it's and again, we'll see what happens against this stretch up until the 28th of the month and see what happens.
Yeah, we're going to find out how good they are. There's no question about it. And I agree with you, Ross, that first things first, that you've got to get these starters deeper into games. There's no question about it. That's got to be the number one priority. And you already saw it in the Atlanta series, what the impact of starters not getting deep meant. That you get to that Saturday game and you've used Cano too much in the up to that, and you can't use him in the Saturday game. And you have a pitcher on the mound that you might not necessarily want on the mound in the 8th inning in that spot, and you've got Cano in the bullpen because you've used him too much.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was saying. Those guys are going to have to step up, and and do and get some stuff done. If they don't, it's going to be a problem. But again, and if you get some guys that if you get 2 of the 5 starters that get you in the 7th inning, or 2 people that get you the 7th inning. Over that 5-man rotation, you're going to have a little bit of a better time with your rest in your bullpen. So
absolutely,
it's going to be. It all comes down to the starters that they have to do it again. You're going to have to let them maybe throw more than 85 pitches, 90 pitches. You're going to have to let them. I mean, if you don't train them to do that, you're going to have this problem, and you better have 25 pitchers that are able to come up here, overall a 25-man pitching staff, and that's 13 in the big leagues and 12 in the minor leagues somewhere that can come up and help out.
All right, Luke, Ross, you got the last word tonight. We want to thank you both for being here. It's Shane McClanahan against Kyle Gibson out at the park in 15 minutes. We're serving on Monday nights like a little bit of a pregame show. Shanahan versus Kyle Gibson at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Games Monday through Thursday in April, May, and September start at 6:35. So we're just 14 minutes away from first pitch. We'll talk to you next Monday night. For Luke Jackson, Ross Grimsley, I'm Stan the Fan, and we thank our friends at the Costas Inn and also our friends at AJ Michaels, heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and home performance. That's it for now. I'll be back Thursday with Gary Stein and Kevin Rocklitz of the Baltimore Ravens. Talk about the change going from Ticketmaster to SeatGeek. That should be pretty interesting. And we'll talk about that and the 20-year anniversary of M&T Bank's sponsorship of the stadium down there. All right. For us all, have a great night. Enjoy the O's. Bye.